What's going on, guys? Hey, I want to come back to you. I want to bring you a story about a congressman who was co-sponsoring a bill that would eliminate funding for DEI and affirmative action programs within the government. Because again, we understand that is discrimination. That is. Again, you're allowing certain people of certain color, certain sex or whatever into programs, and you're excluding everyone else. And, he's saying, hey, look, no, that is oppression. That is, systematic racism. That is what this is. Again, we need to look at things differently, especially after what happened during hurricane or after Hurricane Helene in Florida, Georgia, and the Carolinas. We got to look at things a little bit different. We got to understand that, again, they were literally skipping over Trump supporters' homes. And again, many of them were white, most of them were. And, again, we're skipping over their homes, political discrimination. And again, we have all these DI stuff, all these programs, everything else for people of color or women or whatever. But again, we're skipping over. So we're not funding that. We're introducing a bill to take that away. And anyways, two women of color Congress people, they took issue with that. Watch.
I'm an original co-sponsor of this bill, and I've noted some of the comments here, and I believe we should take a step back and ask ourselves, what do we seek in our republic regarding individual rights, liberties, and freedoms? I mean, do you believe in those core tenets of our republic or not? We have an opportunity before us with this bill to push back against it. The ranking member mentioned a sweeping attack. Yes, this is what we have suffered. We have suffered as a nation, a sweeping attack against equality. That's exactly what we're fighting against. Another colleague mentioned oppression and degradation. It's exactly what we're pushing back against. This is a bill that eliminates government-sponsored oppression of individual rights, liberties, and freedoms in the land of the free. Freedom of opportunity, not result.
We are debating legislation that denies the sky is blue, water is wet, and racism is real. The major provision of the bill says to ban anything that acknowledges racism. And a few pages later in the exact same bill, there are multiple provisions discussing the presence of racism. This Republican approach is as predictable as it is nonsensical. On one hand, they're saying that racism does not exist. On the other hand, they are saying there is rampant reverse racism. Well, how do you reverse something that never existed in the first place? Riddle me that. While this Republican policy may have a new name, it's the same old tired game. Look, y'all are entitled to your opinions, but not a denial of the facts. Do you all know your history? Do you know American history? The original Constitution counted enslaved individuals as 3/5 of a person. And I'd also just like to take a personal note of privilege to say, please keep Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s name out of your mouths. Yes. Your perversion of his words and his mission when his children have asked you to stop invoking his name and perverting his work when he was a proud and unapologetic black man fighting for equality for black Americans and all marginalized people. So you all are entitled to your opinions, but not a denial of the facts. But I'm not surprised that you would deny American history. Yes, a colleague across the aisle invoked the phrase of, we must do everything to stop government-sponsored oppression. Well, I've just enumerated numerous examples, which is exactly why we have legislation and an executive order to reverse this harm. And that is why I'm committed to opposing this bill and urge my colleagues to do the same.
You heard Miss Presley. You heard Miss Presley. talking about, again, get his name out of your mouth. Take Martin Luther King Jr.'s name out of your mouth. I don't know if you know this or not, because, again, I know you're just in Congress or whatever, but we have the right in this country to freedom of speech. Again, we can quote whoever we want to quote, whomever we want to quote, we can quote. And again, if you don't like it, I'm sorry. Grow the hell up. Grow the hell up. And again, this stuff I think is going to end. I think DEI affirmative action is going to eventually end. I'm going to make that prediction again. Because again, people, they're sick and tired of this stuff. Anyways, I want to show you guys what is said in response. And again, I'm glad he stood up and said this, because again, so many people, they're afraid to say stuff because they don't want to be seen as bad, as racist, as whatever. Watch.
For exemplifying exactly the kind of oppression of freedoms that we're referencing. How about we'll quote whoever we want to quote? How about that's my First Amendment right? That's exactly the kind of baked-in oppression. Like, how dare a white Republican quote Martin Luther King? We actually had a congressman say that just now in this committee. Well, and thank you, good lady, for once again exemplifying the type of oppression that we stand against. You know I'm right. You know I'm right.
Order. Mr. Higgins has the floor.
And we will quote who we please to quote.
A disgrace.
And we will continue to speak freely because I'm a veteran. That's the country that I serve. That's the Constitution I swore an allegiance to. And that oath has no expiration date. I will fight for it with my last life's blood. For my right to speak freely and yours, good lady. You will never hear me saying, how dare you quote anybody you please to quote. And that exemplifies, America, precisely the type of institutional oppression that my colleague, Mr. Cloud's bill, for which I'm an original co-sponsor, hopes to push back against.
I totally agree. Again, why would you ever think, if you're white and you're male, why would you even dream of mentioning Dr. King? How dare you, sir? Again, you should never mention any other black person at all. Ever. Yeah. Again, could you imagine if it were the other way around? If a woman of color and a white man's older, you can't mention any white man. You can't quote him. You have no idea what he means. Again, you're black. You don't know what he means. It's whiteness. You can't begin to understand whiteness and maleness and whatever. Don't even try. Yeah. That's what's happening right here. Again, he's being told what he can and cannot say. If that right there is one of the reasons DEI programs have to go. They have to go. Again, there's no place for them. They are legal discrimination. They're wrong. There's no way around it. They are wrong. You can't make up for things that happened, sometime in the past, in the distant past, with people that are no longer alive. You can't make up for things that happened years ago by discriminating against people in the present. Can't do it. Again, they're going to try. But again, you can't do it. And that is the reason why we have to rethink these programs. They have to get rid of them. But, but Jasmine Crockett, yeah, I'm going to put her up because she has some things to say too. And I'm sorry, guys, man, but she has got to be one of the dumbest people on earth. I swear to God. Watch.
Some of you don't realize that I actually was a business major out of Rhodes College in Memphis, Tennessee. And the emphasis that I got in my business degree was on finance. And as I traveled the country campaigning this election cycle, one of the things that I talked about was this idea that in finance, we always promote this idea of diversity. If you know anything about a portfolio, the one thing that you want to do is make sure that it's as diverse as possible, because at times certain stocks will perform better than others, and they will exemplify various strengths and weaknesses. And together, a diverse portfolio is usually what any good finance person would promote. They wouldn't promote that you solely invest in vanilla wafers, believing that that is going to be the strongest portfolio, but instead they may want to add some chocolate cake and some Twinkies into the mix to make sure that we have the best portfolio, because there will be different preferences by different people. And again, there will be different strengths. But as I sit here and I think about what we say and what I'm hearing as it relates to diversity when it comes to anything outside of making money. And to be clear, we are losing GDP every time we try to push back on this idea of diversity, because all of us bring something different to the table.
Again, with your stock analogy, you said that, again, if you have a whole portfolio full of vanilla wafers, that's not good. And I agree, it's not good. But again, you're making them choose for one group. You're saying, some people like Twinkies, other ones like cookies or cake or whatever you said. And again, that's true, but you're making them choose from one category. And that's what DEI is. Again, you can choose whatever candidate. And again, we're going to try to get the best candidate we can from a pre-selected group. Again, they got to be black or female or black females or, whatever, before anything else. So again, we don't know if we got the best candidate for that job. How do we know? Because again, the other 7 or 8 groups or whatever, we totally left those folks out. Totally. And that is what the problem is. Again, you're making people choose. You're choosing for one group, and that's it. You're never going to get the best. As far as like stocks, instead of getting the junk food or whatever, and again, when one junk food kind of goes up, you're going to see probably a spike in the other ones too. I'm no trader or anything, but you got to see there's probably going to be some correlation, at least to some degree. But maybe, Twinkies or vanilla wafers or whatever, and then maybe car transmissions. Again, maybe airplane parts or what. Again, something totally different. Again, you got to have the ability to see that there are many different things out there. And again, limiting yourself to one group is not going to be smart. So again, if you look at many other groups, which is real diversity, again, then you'll hire the best person. You'll bring the best person on board. But again, if you're only looking at one group, you're actually not getting diversity.
All of us bring something different to the table. But you consistently said over and over the word oppression, and every time that you said it, it was almost as if I was hearing nails on a chalkboard, because it seems like you don't understand the definition of oppression. And I'd ask you to just refer to Google to help you out. Oppression is the prolonged, cruel, or unjust treatment or control. That is the definition of oppression. And so as I sit here as a black woman who practiced civil rights, let me tell you, the reason that my colleagues wanted to make sure you understood the same black history that your side of the aisle wants to delete out of classrooms is because you can then misuse words like oppression. There has been no oppression for the white man in this country. You tell me which white men were dragged out of their homes, You tell me which one of them got dragged all the way across an ocean and told that you are going to go and work. We are going to steal your wives. We are going to rape your wives. That didn't happen. That is oppression. We didn't ask to be here. We're not the same migrants that y'all constantly come up against. We didn't run away from home. We were stolen. So yeah, we are going to sit here and be offended when you want to sit here and act like, and don't let it escape you that it is white men on this side of the aisle telling us, people of color on this side of the aisle, that y'all are the ones being oppressed, that y'all are the ones that are being harmed. That's not the definition of oppression. You tell me the prolonged, cruel, or unjust treatment that you've had, and we can have a conversation.
If you couldn't get a job because, again, you're white and you're male and whatever, and you couldn't go to work somewhere because, again, you're only looking for black females, let's say. Is that unjust? Is that cruel? What kind of laws are on the books? What kind of unjust treatment do they allow? What kind of discrimination do they allow? The only legal form of discrimination is, again, DEI, affirmative action. No other legal form whatsoever. So again, you talk about unjust. You were never a slave. As a matter of fact, you're a fucking congresswoman. You were never a slave, ever. Again, you're privileged. And you're sitting out there talking about people like me. Again, who don't have quite what you have. But you're putting people like me down because of what? I'm white. You can. So you know you're doing well, very well in life. You can put me down. I mean, you don't know. You can hold me accountable, have me held accountable for slavery, for Jim Crow, for this, for that. Doesn't matter that I'm, 48 years old. They don't care. You don't care one bit. Again, you're angry. You feel like, that you're justified to hate white people, especially a white man. And then you say, well, again, what kind of unjust treatment have you ever endured? This right here. Again, I don't know how many times I've been reminded. Again, I am not, some politician or whatever, but I don't know how many times I have been reminded by people that I'm white, that I'm privileged, I can do this, do that. Really? I'm privileged. Yeah. Again, people like yourself, you're not going to say it because you don't want to, because you can't. Because you're full of hate and rage. Because you've been convinced that is the way. And it's justified. And you can hate people based on the color of their skin. I mean, think about it for just a minute. You've been told it's okay. It's okay to hate people, to hate the white man because he's white. Again, he didn't do anything to you. He didn't rape you or rape your grandma or rape your great-great-grandma. And again, if that happened to your great-great-great-great, it wasn't him. I guarantee you that. But you hate. You're convinced that hatred is good. It's not good. It's not good at all. If you guys would, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment down below. Thanks. You son of a.